Hi guys, Kevin here, and welcome to a new video. Sounds good to say that. It's been a while. It's good to see your faces again. So today is a long overdue video that I wanted to do quite some time ago, the MonsterBox X1 Max. So this won't be a video for everyone, but I am going to go over my honest opinion, the pros and cons, because there is both to this box. This is a review where I'll do some talking about it. I can't show you everything because of this platform. So we'll have another video on my Rumble channel that'll show more of the software. So it'll show the live and how that all works and all the channels and everything. Here I'm just going to kind of tiptoe around it, but I'm going to go over the pros and cons of this. So let's get into it. So let's start quickly with what's in the box. You get obviously the device, you get the remote control, which is line of sight, it's not a Bluetooth, so keep that in mind. You get an HDMI cable, you get the power supply, and just a simple user guide. And the hardware specs on the MonsterBox, it's running Android 9. It's running a quad-core ARM Cortex-A53 processor, which is an all-winner H6 running at 1.49 gigahertz. It's got the Mali 720 MP2 GPU. It's got 4 gigs of DDR3 RAM, 128 gigs of storage, but there is an option for a 2 gig DDR3 version with 16 gigs of storage. So that's got a reduced price as well. So you can check that on their website as well. I'll have links below. This does have 10100 Ethernet. This supports 2.4 and 5G on your dual band Wi-Fi. So it does have dual band. Bluetooth 4.1. This has support for 4K up to 60 frames per second. You have HDMI on the side, so a 3.0 and a 2.0. Then you have also a micro SD slot. Also you can plug in obviously more storage if you need, but this does have 128, so that's quite a lot. But if you do get the 2 gig, 16 gig storage, then it also supports a USB thumb drive, etc., or a micro SD card for storage. Then you also have an AV jack and also digital out. So straight away with the specs, this is not running the Amlogic, it is running the Allwinner. I would take that as a negative, but you can still run games. There are still games on the App Store, they seem to run fine. I've tried a couple of them. Obviously if you're using it as a media device, media storage device, it's going to work excellent for that, but this is not an all-in-one device where it's a gaming box, etc. This is not an NVIDIA Shield, I'll say that just straight up. This is not an NVIDIA Shield, this is not an all-in-one box. This is mainly a media consumption box, so streaming, storage, going to work excellent for that. So box itself I think has a nice look to it. You can see there it has a bit of a NVIDIA Shield look to it. Has a little bit of a design in there, a little cutting edge. You can see there. You have the dual band antennas, which is nice. A little bit of ventilation on the side. Also this side, and a little bit on the bottom. I would like to see a little bit more there. This does light up with your time there and also shows you if you're Wi-Fi or not on the front display. And your jacks in the back that I mentioned. Pretty generic setup for an Android box. Then you have your USB 3 and your USB 2. So that's for expansion as well as your SD card slot. And because I'm not a huge fan of the remote because it is line of sight, very basic remote for these boxes. Has a lot of buttons, but you do have to point it pretty well directly at the box. I use something like an Air Mouse. That works just fine. I just plug in my receiver just into one of the available slots and it works just fine like that. So that's what I do. You could also use a controller. I have my PS4 controller set up to it. Works just fine. Very easy to set up in the Bluetooth menu. Just like any Android box, works just fine for that. So that's another option you can use where it's not line of sight. But otherwise I think the box has a nice look to it. Now let's go over how you set up the box. It won't give all these instructions when you get it, so this is important. So I'm just going to reset mine fully, and then we'll just start off from scratch on how to set it up. So you hook up the box, it boots up, and this is your first screen that you get, which is kind of interesting. It's a disclaimer. So thank you for choosing MonsterBox. It's an empty and open entertainment device. Due to the nature of this item, we're not in any way responsible for the content streamed or viewed. All applications are available either through a variety of app stores or available through the internet. It is the user's responsibility to satisfy themselves that either they or the site's access for streaming and content have the correct copyright agreements in place and are entitled to this content. Interesting statement, but the funny thing is you can't skip it. So if I go down, brings you right back to the same notice. So you actually have to agree to it. And it says the burden of determining this falls completely on you, the user. MonsterBox in no way takes any responsibility on how to use this device. So we'll get into that in a few moments, but that's the first thing you're presented with. So I think smart on them. They're covering their butt, but you do have to agree to this. So agree. Now you can set your screens. So if you want it filled all the way, you just go simply up or down. So that looks good. And now you're going to set up your Wi-Fi, or if you have Ethernet, you just plug it into the back. Here I just have Wi-Fi. You pick your modem, you put in your password. Okay, once you have your password, you do connect. Now it's going to attempt to connect. Just make sure you have your correct password and everything. Okay, so we're connected. Now we go down to finish. And now it's the same screen that was on before when I was talking to you, but there's nothing really on it. So they are correct in that manner. So if you go to apps, which is at the top here, there's only App Store, which is their App Store, Gallery, Google, just basic stuff. You can stream this from your phone, but there is no Chromecast. So this isn't a Google certified device, so just keep that in mind. It's more of a generic Android device. So very basic apps. So there's a Play Store and an App Store, which is interesting. So there's no instructions on how to do this, but to get the actual apps that you're paying for, because you're paying for them with this box, is through this App Store. Now you have another disclaimer. So My Store is an internet connected program. All applications that you download and install are done so through the internet. My Store is in no way responsible for any application that you, the user, download, and also take no responsibility for the content contained in any application. It's your responsibility to comply and all laws, regulations, etc. in your country. There should be no installation of any base applications, along with no installing of any apps that would violate copyright infringements. So you can read this whole thing, but it's kind of interesting that this is there before you go into their App Store. So now let's go to OK, and suddenly, poof, you have some other apps that are not on the Google Play Store. So here you have your Sterling Live, your Sterling Playback, and your Sterling VOD. Those are the three apps that you're going to use, and those are the ones that you're essentially paying for this device. So all you do, you click on one, it's going to download, doesn't take very long. Once you have a green check mark, it's done. Go to the next one. Green check mark, that one's done. And the third one you need is this one, the VOD. Okay, so all three of those are done. Interesting that you have YouTube, which is very useful. Sling, perhaps, Dazen, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And then all of a sudden you have the Smarters Pro. Not sure why that's there, but it is a good app too, but you can use that with other IPTV. You also have Downloader, Aptoide TV, so it's an interesting amount of apps that they have here. Some are very official, others are third party. But anyway, that's how you set up those three apps. Now if we go back, if we go back to home, we can use these as kind of your shortcuts. So here we have Live VOD, so here we have Live TV, and here we just do Add. Then we can add the one that we just downloaded before, so that's the Sterling Live. For some reason my back button isn't working on my Air mouse, so I have to use both remotes, so bear with me. So now we have that one. Go back again. We can do the same thing for VOD. Add that Sterling VOD back. Then also for playback. Add playback. And that's really all you have to do to set up the device. It's that easy. So then you have your live TV, VOD, and playback all set up. If you want to add other things, you can add them to the bottom there like I had before. If you want to add shortcuts to other apps, you can do it here. So find another app. Say you want Google. You can do it there. Then just simply back out. Just simply go back, and then you have it set up as a shortcut. So you can add up to 6 there. And this is your settings. This is your file manager. This speeds up your RAM. This is a speed test. Your trash. And then this is your live support. So if you have any issues with, let's say, a channel or a movie not working, you just simply scan this QR code, whichever one you want, with your phone. So let's say you want to do support or Facebook or WhatsApp, you can do that. Or you can go on the official website, use the chat. So whichever way you want, you can reach out there 24/7. So that's pretty awesome, I think, with the box. That's definitely a plus. But there is some negatives. We'll go over that yet. Stay tuned. So now I won't show you these apps working as far as the live TV, VOD, and playback. So I'm just going to go over my final thoughts with the box. And as I said, check out my Rumble. So I'll just continue from here on Rumble just to show you the actual interface of the live TV, the live VOD, and the playback. So as a whole, from using this box, I think the live TV works well. I would say it's considered, for my personal preference, very good. I use it often for Saturday night for certain events, and it does work very good for that. I've tried many IPTV services also in the past, and also I presently am still, and I find this one is one of the top ones for that. You rarely get a buffer. Also watch a lot of NBA, works great for that. All the games are there. Very little buffering, if any. VOD also, there's fairly new movies, not the latest ones. So if something came out, let's say, this week, it's not going to be on there. They usually, I think, refresh it every week or so. Maybe every few days to a week, I'm not sure. But there is pretty current stuff there, and it's decent quality, but some have subtitles, some don't. There's no option for that. So that's one niggle with the VOD. You can't choose subtitles or not, or you can't choose your quality or not. But for me, it's definitely watchable, and it's good quality. Same with the live TV. I would say overall it's very good quality, but not everything is 4K, so don't expect that. If you're set up in 4K, you're looking for the absolute top quality, it's not going to have always 4K, so keep that in mind. The hardware I think is probably, if I bought this box, let's say on Amazon, you're probably looking at under $100. So as far as a box, it's okay. It's an Allwinner H6. I would have liked to see an Amlogic. You know, it does its job. It streams fine. The 4 gigs is fine. It's DDR3, so it's definitely capable of streaming up to 4K. Then the gray area is this box legal? Because technically you're accepting those disclaimers. You're kind of accepting apps in a different app store, but it's on the box. Kind of a gray area. You obviously have to have rights to the channels to be able to charge money for them, and I don't see that happening with this box. So, but for the user too, you're getting a lot of value, I think, with the box, especially some people in the US. Even in Canada, we have very high cable rates, so you could be paying $100+ a month, and that's a lot of money. So in a sense, this will pay for itself very quickly. Always the question that we have to ask ourselves is, how long is this going to last? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. So I think the demographic for this is maybe, I don't want to say tech challenge person, but just a person that just wants a simple plug and play, very simple interface. This definitely has that. If you have someone that just doesn't care about tech, has a little bit of extra money to put towards this, I think it might be something good for them. For a techie person, it probably isn't for them, and that's why I think some of my colleagues don't recommend this as well. But I think it does have a use case. It does have a person that is going to buy it and have good value with it, and they're going to save money with it. But that's the thing. How long is it going to last? How much value are you going to get? And when it does go down, let's say in, I don't know, let's say 2 years, you're still going to be upset because you paid that money and all of a sudden, just like that, it's down. Because at some point, it has to go down. It's inevitable. But for that X amount of months that you use it, you're going to get good value, I think. And that's the thing. You have to weigh out the options. There is some value to it. It is a generic box. It's not that powerful. It's not good for gaming, but there's some value to the service. And if you do look at that service on its own, you can see here if this is indeed the same service, because I did find a Serling TV online, and it says over 1,100 channels. I haven't tried this, but it is $24.90 a month. So 1 month, 1 device. That's for that Serling service, which I don't know if it's the same. I think it would be the same because it's got the same name, but I can't be 100% certain. But there you go. So that's quite expensive for a month, but I know there is other services that you can get for cheaper. So I don't want to rant on too long, but that's your pros and cons. So is it good for you? Depends what kind of person you are. If you want something simple that works for X amount of months, X amount of years, this is probably going to do it. But it is an upfront cost that you have to kind of say to yourself, is it worth it? And if you're looking for something with a bit more power, this wouldn't be it. So if you're looking for gaming, away from this box. But it does have a demographic, I think. So is this good for you? That's up to you to decide. Definitely throw in any questions into the comments. We can have a discussion there as well. So there you go. That's the Monster Box X1 Max. Is it right for you? It's not for everyone, but they are definitely selling. So it's definitely got some people that are buying it and they're getting good value from it. But otherwise, thanks for watching. It's good to be back. Check out my social media, Twitter and Instagram. Check out my other channel on Rumble, links below. Thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.